Christy has written in and says that this is, that getting used to the mask is not what's happened for her. She says, my daughter did the whole year in the hospitals and never got over the mask issue. It caused her both sensory and panic attacks. So just added one more obstacle to her already stressful day. Can I just say with love, and then I want to hear from you, Evelyn, that, I think I've shared it before on the show that I'm somebody, who has had a panic attack more than once. And I don't qualify for a sensory processing disorder, but like a lot of people, I have sensory processing issues. And I know I've talked to a lot of the moms that we were talking, what I was saying about that panic of when you've got the mask on and you can't breathe. And I won't say that I don't ever get uneasy, but to Evelyn's point about, first of all, because of my, how I deal with panic is that I was taught how to systematically talk myself through things and go, what's happening here? What do I need to do about it? Have I felt this way before and was I okay? So that I remove some of the, the talk that's happening in my head. But I will tell you that one of the things that we've noticed really succinctly, the whole family, is that some masks work better for you than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that there are some masks that it is like breathing through a pillow and I can't breathe and I panic and I don't handle it well. There are other masks that I can go all day with the same mask and I don't get overheated and I feel like I can breathe and it's just as safe as the other one, but the way it sits on my face, I'm not inhaling the mask, and the way it sits on my ears, like I've discovered that I like the ones that don't go over the ear, that go all the way around the back of the head. And my son tried one of those and he's like, you're crazy. That is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever tried in my, he likes the ones that don't even have the adjustable ears. And my husband likes the ones that have adjustable ears and he likes to wear the cage. So I think it's very personal, the mask thing, but I feel, and that it's worth looking into because when I wear the wrong mask, I panic. And when I don't wear the wrong mask, I don't. So I just want to throw that out there. But what do you want to say about that, Evelyn?
Well, you're saying in the hospital, so that means there's a lot of other things going on physically.
Well, yeah, I hadn't, what I was thinking she worked in the hospital, but maybe not.
I don't know. And if the daughter is in the hospital and there's a lot of other competing physical ailments and sicknesses and everything else, you kind of have to do it by the order of, saliency, the order of like what is needed in this moment. Really, like what do we need to take care of? Because I don't know, like I know that when I'm sick, there's a lot of other things that just are heightened, sensory
Yeah.
wise. Noises might bother me if I have a headache all the time. If, bright lights might bother me if, for another reason. So if there are a lot of other things going on, you really have to evaluate, the need at that point. And I know, like, because of COVID, everybody's been like mask, mask, mask. But one of the mistakes that a lot of people have made is they've pushed it too fast. And that's why initially I said patience, because you do have to figure out, are there sensory issues? Which one? Does it bother my face or does it bother my ears or does it bother my head? We all have different sensory points where we don't like something, and I'm with you, I'm with Jem about the across the head. I went
Yeah.
into the first one recently and I was just like, okay, give me my other mask.
Yeah.
This is like annoying, but I had to learn how to like it. And then I figure it out over time. But the thing is, figuring it out over time, just the whole idea of what feels okay. Our kids don't even know when they're hungry half the time.
Yeah.
That this is a part of autism. It's a part of their whole physical state, not being understanding what their body is feeling like. So when you come about with masks, you're really having to figure out, like, if there is a tactile, and where is tactile, what part matters more or bothers more, and you kind of have to target each area. Like, does systematic desensitization have to happen with your ears or your head or your face? What feels better? And then really slowly doing it. And I'm talking seconds. It's not like here's 5 minutes and now we have half an hour and now we have an hour. Those are big steps. And to, some neurotypical person out there, that may not be a big deal. But for our, the people that we work with, or like, the kids, I mean, we're literally like, okay, here's 5 seconds and here's a reinforcer. Here's 10
Yeah.
seconds, here's a reinforcer. And, I see parents standing there going, this is never going to happen. And we're like, hold on, you don't have
Yeah.
to do it. We're helping you with this. And then eventually the kids are walking into the clinic with their masks. And
Yeah.
then now we have the other thing is they won't take their masks off. So,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's just COVID, all the rigidities have been reinforced in people with ASD. My kids that had held full-time jobs and social lives and then were forced to stay in, we can't get them out the door now. These are adults that had been doing these things for like 5 years. I have one, I can't get out the door right now. She has a full tantrum and she was carrying a full job and like going to Special Olympics and doing all these things before. And now we're talking about like just trying to get her out the door every day, once a day, to go get the mail from the post office.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of things that our kids have had to adjust to, and you don't know, they can't tell you and communicate what's going on with their body. So a lot of it is patience, and really, if you're working with a BCBA, it's a task analysis, trying to figure out, every little step and portion and what matters and what doesn't matter in the moment and what matters in these 2 weeks when I was sick. And now 2 weeks later, those things don't matter so much anymore,
Yeah.
and just whatever sensory heightened, but it's really moving slowly enough and having a good enough reinforcer in place for every single step so that the person doesn't feel anxious. I know that because of the way COVID has come on, people are really, a lot of fear across the board. So there's been a lot of like the pushing, and pushing doesn't work for our kids. Pushing
Yeah.
doesn't work for any kids.
And unfortunately, when we have these mandates, I think that parents and caregivers feel pushed. They're like, well, now I have to be by this thing or my kid gets left out. I just want to point out that one of the things that Evelyn was talking about is working on it outside the event when it has to be there.
Yes.
Because, but it sounds like, and I'm sending, Christy, I'm sending you a hug because I'm seeing some of the things that you're writing in. And we're going to get to your other question here in a second. But, for the things that your daughter is being in the hospital for, you didn't have prior notice to work on it before. So I can completely understand why that would be an additional stressor when you're in an emergency and we're trying to get used to these things. But I'm sending you a hug and hoping that when you're not in an emergency, that you can do some of this that Evelyn is talking about, 5 seconds reinforcer. And we're going to talk about your other question here in just a second. But